What if I told you that tomorrow morning, Apple could officially own Android? And what if Google suddenly announced a brand new iPhone, designed by them, running their own software? Sounds crazy, right? But it might not be as impossible as you think. If Apple controlled Android, would it fix all of Android's problems, or destroy everything that makes it unique? And if Google made iPhones, would it make them better, or turn them into ad-filled nightmares? Today we're diving deep into the craziest tech what-if scenario ever. Imagine a world where Google sells Android to Apple. The second that happens, Android, once the most customizable, open-source operating system, would now be owned by the company that controls everything inside its walled garden. So, what's the first thing Apple would do? Right now, Android is a free-for-all. Samsung, OnePlus, Xiaomi, and countless others all use Android, but they customize it however they want. If Apple took over, that freedom disappears. Every Android phone would be forced to follow Apple's strict rules. No bloatware, no ugly skins, no slow updates. In some ways this is great, but in others, it's terrifying. Think about this. Apple doesn't do cheap. Right now, you can get a solid Android phone for under $300. But if Apple owns Android, you can kiss budget-friendly phones goodbye. Expect Samsung's budget models to start at $1,500. Would you still use Android if Apple controlled it? Vote in the comments # yes Apple fixes, Android # no Apple will ruin it. If Apple runs Android, do you really think they'd allow things like custom launchers, different themes, or sideloading apps? Nope. Every Android phone would basically become an iPhone with a different logo. And honestly, this wouldn't even be Apple's first time messing with Android. They already have apps like Apple Music on the Play Store. And remember when they let Android users use FaceTime? That could have been step 1. But hold on, what if Google took over iPhones instead? Now let's flip the scenario. Google already makes hardware. They own the Pixel phone, Fitbit, Nest, and a ton of other devices. But what if, instead of competing with Apple, Google decided to make iPhones instead? Right now, iPhones start at ridiculous prices. A Google-made iPhone, it would probably cost way less, maybe even under $500. Sounds amazing, right? Well, here's the catch. Google's entire business model is built on advertising, so a Google iPhone might be cheap up front, but loaded with ads everywhere. Imagine unlocking your phone and seeing, this home screen is sponsored by McDonald's. Try YouTube Premium, only $10.99 a month. Yeah, no thanks. Would you use a Google iPhone if it meant tons of ads but a lower price? Comment below # yes cheaper phones or # no keep Apple Premium. But here's one thing Google would do better, AI. Right now, iPhones have Siri, but let's be real. Siri is basically a dinosaur compared to Google Assistant. A Google-made iPhone would have insane AI features, smarter voice control, actually useful unlike Siri, better cameras, Pixel phones already beat iPhones in AI processing, more powerful search features, Google's specialty. So in a way, a Google iPhone would actually be super advanced. But it comes at a cost. Your privacy. Okay, so we've looked at both crazy scenarios. But could either of them actually come true? Well, maybe. Apple is already experimenting with Android. They made Apple Music for Android. They let Android users FaceTime. And who knows, maybe they're testing the waters. Google is already expanding into hardware. They make Pixels, Chromebooks, Nest devices, and more. Could they secretly be working on their own iPhone version? Maybe. And if a crazy tech war happens in the future, who's to say Google and Apple won't switch roles? So now it's time for the final question. Which one would be better? If Apple owned Android, it would be smoother and more secure, but expensive and restrictive. If Google made iPhones, it would be smarter and cheaper, but filled with ads and data tracking. Or maybe, we should just leave things exactly how they are. Vote in the comments, #Team Apple Android, if you want Apple to fix Android. #Team Google iPhone, if you want Google to upgrade iPhones. #keep things the same, if you think both ideas are a disaster. This is just the beginning of the craziest tech conversations we're gonna have in 2025. If you love wild tech ideas, hit that subscribe button because my next video is even crazier. And before you go, check out my last video about the top 5 AI businesses secretly owned by celebrities. You won't believe who's behind them. Links on screen now.